Hello, Vincent Carroll speaking. This is tutorial number 11. Wind heat invasion, wind cold invasion. First of all, let's consider wind as a vehicle. It's the vehicle that transports the pathogen, and the pathogen is either hot or cold. It's a bit like the Western medical concept of, do you remember the old slogan, coughs and sneezes spread diseases? The concept of wind-borne infection. You have it in both systems of medicine. If wind cold invasion enters the body, first of all, it has to defeat the Wei Qi, and I often see the Wei Qi as the mirror image of the white blood cells from a Western medical point of view, except of course the Wei Qi circulates on the outside of the body. There are some theories which indicate that the Wei Qi also operates just under the skin, but regardless, it acts as a barrier. And when a pathogen is on wind, is travelling by wind, it must negotiate the Wei Qi first of all before it enters into the human body. So when it enters into the Wei Qi circulates around the body, and by circulating, I believe that gives the human body the basal body temperature, this movement of Wei Qi around the body. And once the pathogen hits the Wei Qi and interacts with the Wei Qi, a number of things can happen. The Wei Qi can be very strong and the pathogen can be very weak, and you're completely unaware of the interaction. The second thing that can occur is the Wei Qi can be temporarily paralyzed by the wind heat or the wind cold, by the pathogen. And when that happens, the outcome can go either way. Either the Wei Qi will fight back and the pathogen will be pushed away. You will probably shiver. You will have a sense of cooling down, and then you will shiver. And the sense of cooling down happens because, of course, the Wei Qi is paralyzed, and it's the movement of Wei Qi, as I said, that provides the body with a basal body temperature. So therefore the Wei Qi shuts down momentarily, well, for a short while. And when that happens, if you're lucky, the Wei Qi wins and the pathogen is pushed off. But equally, the pathogen can overcome the Wei Qi and enter into the exterior. Now, by the exterior, for most of us, that means a sore throat. The throat is probably the most interior part of the exterior, but it's not the interior. It hasn't gone into the lungs yet. So again, in that case, you simply eliminate the pathogen. But it can go further. If the Wei Qi is more weak or if the pathogen is stronger, then of course this pathogen will progress and it will go from the exterior to the interior into the lung. Now, when it's in the lung, it'll correspond to Western medical infections such as acute bronchitis. This is overwhelmingly the commonest. There can be other things as well, like pleurisy, but for the most part, acute bronchitis, certainly not chronic bronchitis, unless you have an acute infection based on the chronicity of chronic bronchitis. But it will be a fresh, new pathogen, and that is a wind heat invader. If it's a wind cold invader, you're likely not to seek attention for the very simple reason it's something you'll be able to deal with yourself. It'll probably be a white runny nose, a vague sore throat, a low temperature. You will have a temperature, but it will be a very slight manageable temperature, and you probably won't require any treatment from either system of medicine. But a wind heat invader can of course be very serious. For most of us, it will correspond, say, to a Coxsackie virus or to a streptococcal infection, for most of us, where again the pathogen is wind-borne. And from an acupuncture point of view, we're talking about a hot pathogen that bypasses the Wei Qi, or more correctly, sledgehammers its way through the Wei Qi, paralyzing the Wei Qi, but gaining admission to the body, gaining admission to the exterior, to the back of the throat, where there will be a quite serious red throat that will require infection, and probably there'll be white pustules on the throat if it's a bacterial type infection, as it's likely to be. And then of course, if it's untreated, and if the Wei Qi, or for that matter the white cells, are down, it'll enter into the body. So you see the correspondence I'm trying to make here between Wei Qi and the Western immune system. They're pretty similar in many ways, and that's why I like to see the Wei Qi as a mirror image of the white blood cells. But regardless which way you look at it, the system is still the same. The pathogen is on the exterior. It has to come to you. A lot of the pathogens you won't even be aware of them. Every day we get hammered by so many different pathogens, and we're completely unaware of them because the pathogens are quite quite weak and our Wei Qi is relatively strong. That's why people with compromised Wei Qi, or a compromised immune system, if you like, are more prone to pick up various pathogens. And even wind-cold invaders can be a little bit more serious than wind-cold invaders might be to the majority of us looking at this video. But wind-heat invasion can ultimately be very strong. So, for example, meningococcal meningitis can be a wind-heat invader. Viral meningitis as well can be a wind-heat invader. Anything that's respiratory spread can be wind-heat invading, and some of these can be extremely serious. Most of them are not. But again, it's always a play between the strength of your Wei Qi and the strength of the pathogen. And for the most part, the Wei Qi wins out. Now, of course, when that happens, the Wei Qi needs time to recover. So if you're hit by another infection coming shortly afterwards, or another bit of wind heat invasion, it is more likely to be more successful than the first wind heat invader that the pathogen might have fought off, but at, I suppose, at cost to itself. So your Wei Qi is now weak. So if another pathogen comes and follows it up, then it's more likely to gain admission into the exterior and motor onwards into the interior. So what do? Well, we expel. If you pull heat out of the body, you pull the rug from under the, I suppose, the motor, that factor which progresses the pathogen. So, for example, if a person has a red throat, for example, I would pull heat out. I would do large intestine 4, large intestine 11, and above all, the spring point of the lung channel. Certainly, if it progressed downwards into the interior, you would do the spring point of the lung channel, which of course is lung 10. And these, for me, are the most important points. Now, obviously, a wind heat invader is a yang event, so you must conserve yin, because yang consumes yin, and I would do Ren 4 just sort of as a prophylactic, because of course, if the lungs are subject to repeated lung or wind heat invasions, it'll consume yin, and you'll end up with lung yin deficiency from repeated infections. So therefore, it's important to look after yourself. It's important to look after your lung health and look after the health of Wei Qi. And in doing so, that's by, I mean, where does Wei Qi come from? It comes from, as all Qi, it comes from the root of post-heaven Qi. So the person who's vigorous, the person who is healthy, is likely to have a healthy Wei Qi that will be able to tackle most pathogens coming its way, all wind-cold invaders and most wind-heat invaders. But those that do get through need to be expelled rapidly. And that's the message of this tutorial. Thank you.